We ended the last season and began this season with sort of the company in turmoil.
I'm just saying, I don't think it's fair.
Fair? I don't think it's about fair.
Alison Dubois finds herself completely without purchase. She no longer works for the district attorney because the district attorney is no longer serving as the district attorney.
No.
If you don't open that door, I'm gonna kick it down.
Her husband is unemployed. I mean, her entire world has sort of fallen apart beneath her.
So everyone's out of work and everyone's, that puts a lot of strain on the relationship and strain on the family. And Joe's got issues of self-esteem and got to provide for my family, and I can't do that.
Do you believe that, Mom?
I really need to speak with you. They're fighting a lot, and there's practical considerations, and her desire to use her gifts in a moral and constructive way sometimes get in the way of the practicality of us just trying to make a living for our family.
The really brave thing about the show is that they're really, talking about issues, about families who do have parents out of jobs and who economically aren't doing very well.
Oh, ma'am, that card's being denied. Do you have another card?
There's a mistake. I know this card's good. I just paid the bill a couple weeks ago.
The struggles as parents change, depending on your children's age. So it's neat to see the kids develop, and the writers just keep coming up with interesting ideas, so I just kind of take it from there.
It's got a family core that the backdrop of the show is this criminal storyline, basically. And the otherworldly aspect of it, is one of the conceits that you have to buy into. But once you're there, the show's terrific.
Because we get our material so late, it's not like something you can really sit down and break down and plot through completely. It's kind of like the way you live your life. You just are there and you see what develops, what changes, and you deal with the changes life gives you.
On episode 2, Girls Ain't Nothing But Trouble, now that was fun. It's black and white, and it's Marie and Bridget and Ariel and Allison doing a silent film. It was very fun to get to kick somebody in the bottom, because I've never done that before.
Yeah. Kick him. Boom. And he goes out the door.
I loved the costume. It was very exciting to sort of go into a different time period. Those costumes that we wore were really, really itchy. It looks like I'm wearing a cake on my head, and let me see if there's anybody else.
It was only a 3-wall set. We're one of our few 3-wall sets. We usually do 4 walls, complete enclosures, but this was a 3-wall to do very much as they used to, kind of proscenium style set.
And Patricia trapped like a mouse.
It was just a room with 3 walls and a floor. And it was almost built sort of like a theater where you didn't have that back wall to work with. It was this dark room with this, tiny wire bed. It was very depressing.
Ready? And action.
Well, we're replicating a silent movie of the 20s, so we have it manually cranked, so we have a little bit of human error and variation in it. Gives it a little magical, flickery, silent movie effect.
Everybody was on set that day for it, because seeing everybody dressed in the outfits from a different era and having the little girls on the set just was magical.
Did you pick up your yearbook yet? Did you see the pictures of us?
Episode 3, But for the Grace of God, is an episode where Ariel goes back into the 80s, and she sees herself as her mom's friend.
So then she's over on the bed, and then we play this whole thing live.
So let's just shoot this one shot now.
The wide shot.
You and me.
I got to go back in time to the 80s, and that was a blast. The sets and the clothes and the hair, it was wonderful. The episode starts with a car crash, and we see an upside-down car, and then we reveal the woman upside down in a car, struggling to reach for the phone, and she barely touches the phone, and the phone slides farther away from her. Then we turn and we reveal that that's Ariel. Me upside down in the car, and we'd pull me up by the crane that was attached through the bottom of the car to a harness that I was hung up in. We'd lift me up in the harness. Unfortunately, child labor laws say that I can only work 9.5 hours. So unfortunately, we were stopped by time limitations, and so we decided, we'll do it on the last day of the episode. And once again, we had the crane, but this time it was on set, and we had the crane, and we hoisted me up in the harness, and once again, 9.5 hours.
Episode 4, To Have and to Hold, the Paris set. Having read the script, didn't really know what to expect, how they were going to pull it off, and walking onto the stage that morning and seeing that incredible model of Paris was, we were all in awe, sort of staring at it. We were shooting all day, but every time you looked out the window, it was exactly as though you were in Paris looking out the window. It was amazing.
This was one of those scripts you read, and we're all sitting in the room saying, how? How are we going to pull this off? What are they asking us to do now? You think you're in a Paris hotel room, and then what it really is sort of a set that someone has built to replicate it, and you're not supposed to know you're in a set until Scanlon comes to save the day at the end, and he comes bashing over these buildings, which we realize are models and not the true exterior.
And it was pretty fun to be able to walk through the set and have that on film.
We're about to shoot coverage of the end of the first scene, the dream sequence, in the Parisian hotel room between the two star-crossed lovers.
To us.
So everything had to be built to scale and perspective so that when you're looking out of the hotel window on down the line and you see the Eiffel Tower, it all looks like you're really in Paris. In reality, the Eiffel Tower was a foot big, I believe, and it's how it's placed to camera. It was movie magic because you're standing in the set and you see that Eiffel Tower and then you look through the lens and it actually looked real.
Burn Baby Burn. Ariel dreams in a teaser that this son is waving goodbye to his mother, and the mother ends up pouring gasoline over herself and sets herself on fire. Everything is shot in slow motion without sound and just score only. So we filmed on location at a school nearby, and we shot everything at 40 frames per second to kind of give it that cool, slow motion effect. The first thing we did was we shot our actress against green screen and we isolated her. The second pass we shot a plate of the background, and then we shot a foreground plate against green screen, which was basically the fence. The fourth element we shot was the fire element, and we had a black dummy that was doused in a flammable liquid, and then we shot that as well at 40 frames per second.
We're about to set a woman on fire. Hello. It's gonna be awesome.
In the visual effects house, we're going to take all four of those layers and merge them together to give you the effect of this woman being set on fire.
I heard you had a dream. Maybe you saw some bad guys.
On Do You Hear What I Hear, episode 6, working with David Arquette. I like David, and he did an episode last season.
Everybody was very happy with his show, and the crew loved him.
And cut.
We didn't see the bunny.
Yeah, just go one more.
Well, one of the things I think David brings is just the way he looks at the world, the way that he's looked at the material. One of the kidnappers, she can identify him, and he knows it. They're gonna have to kill her now, aren't they? I really trust my brother. I trust his instincts as an actor, and his vision as a director I think is interesting and inspiring to me. He'll come up with different shots and take some chances, which is nice because you sort of establish such a pattern on TV. It's nice to break away from that a little bit now and then.
That's true. It's always great, I think, when David comes in and directs because it becomes that much more of a family. And it's really great to see Patricia and David interact.
Obviously the connection between him and his sister, but sort of what they share and what they communicate from both behind and in front of the camera really comes forward and it turns out to be a really exceptional episode.
Jake has this one scene where he's typing on the computer and Allison is in the bathtub and he gives her a hand gesture to stop talking, which is completely unwritten. It's completely ad-libbed by him, which is like a brilliant moment that we obviously did not think of.
So you think of what I'm thinking?
What's that?
Isn't it obvious? Garrity was making down payments on LaRoche's limbs. It's kind of an expensive meal, but hey, when you got a ravenous appetite for human flesh, I guess you have to expect to pay through the nose.
Great, it's comedy, it's cop comedy.
In episode 7, Aftertaste, working with Miguel when he was directing, it's always an odd situation when you're working with someone you're used to acting with and they're directing. And I only know this now, having done it a couple of times. I wouldn't have assumed that it would be any different from any other director, but it is, because there's a certain distrust that actors have with directors in television, because for one thing, they don't know the show very well, and I don't know them very well, and I'm protecting my conception of my character in the show. Sabo confessed, but he's saying it was all him. He says he killed LaRoche without any help. So when Miguel, who's my friend, starts to try to direct me, I kind of feel myself Back of my hairs on the back of my neck stand up a little bit.
I think one of the reasons why he's as successful as he is because he's a storyteller. As an actor and as a director. I'm jealous of Miguel because he got a very good script and really did a great job.
Cut it! Nice. We had 2 Vietnam locations. One was an exterior. These really beautiful, lush botanical gardens.
It's difficult when you're in Los Angeles sometimes to portray Arizona or in this case Vietnam. We're in a botanic garden. It's segmented into many different looks from many regions. The portion of landscape we needed was fairly limited for this. It wasn't a lot of running through it, which I think helped us a lot.
The other was an interior set, which was a bamboo hut where all these guys were held captive.
And then the hut itself, built by a construction department, large order bamboo, but that worked out very well. Finally, for the flooring, kind of just a dirt floor was what was required with a little bit of, again, plant texture laid down to help just soften it a little bit. But it's pretty dark in there, so you just see silhouettes and shadows. I think it tied together pretty well.
Looks like the welcome committee got to you. You got a name, soldier?
Jed Garrity. I don't do a lot of takes as a director because as an actor, I don't like to do a lot of takes. For me as an actor and also as a director, if I feel like I've gotten it, boom, move on to the next size or the next setup.
Have you ever talked to anybody in Alaska? It was hard because I had a lot of lines and I had to show really true and deep emotion.
Maria had some real acting to do. It was a genuine acting moment.
He invited, I think, all of us into his office for like a read-through of all our scenes. Daddy, how can we tell Mr. Reshmi that he needs to lock his back door?
Tell who what?
Mr. Reshmi.
I think she is terrific in the episode.
Thanks, Daddy. I think Mr. Reshmi will be really glad you called.
This is Peter Connolly, the man that I saw torturing Susie in my dreams. The man I believe was working with Joanna Wheeler in 1998.
When we write for one guest star, it's pretty easy. Everybody has a great story idea that would make, a great episode of television, and we try to figure out how to put the guest star in it. But when you have a guest star like Angelica Houston, it's much more collaborative.
Yeah, it's just like your dream. Except it wasn't my daughter. It was Melanie Linder.
Melanie Linder, the girl you were hired to find?
That's right. Except she didn't run away. She was abducted.
The writing staff always has to make sure, okay, what's she doing in your episode? Okay, so I have to make sure that, she builds on that in the next episode.
Long search for my daughter ended this way, but I'm also very encouraged by the great deal of physical evidence that was recovered with Susie's body.
Many times we go the extra distance. We do really not the pat thing, the thing that you expect. And a lot of times it comes out in maybe the violence or the way someone is killed. There's always sort of justice in the end. But in this instance, I think the medium edge was in Cynthia Keener.
For most of the 6 episodes she was on, she was very stoic and she didn't have a lot of emotion. And so all of that was purposeful to lead up to these final 2 episodes where you got a glimpse into her personal life and her history.
When we found out that she had a daughter, it just made the story even that more interesting and exciting because it had this whole new depth to it.
It's one of these things where when you find out one piece of information about somebody that makes their entire demeanor make sense to you, that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to find that one thing that would turn her from a, kind of a cold-hearted bitch character into someone that you not only felt for, but that you were kind of rooting for to, pull a gun out of her purse and blow away her daughter's murderer.
Oh, Angelica, Magoo. In the 6-episode arc that she did, it was truly amazing. Ending the way it did, we were very, very happy and fortunate. There was no way in the world that you could bring justice to the fact that her daughter was killed, that she brought justice herself.
The hard thing actually was before the strike. I think there was such a great anxiety in September, October, about what was going to happen. And a lot of people didn't really take it seriously until very late in the game.
We knew that there was the impending writer's strike, and I think that we wanted to just keep going and try to do the best we possibly could and get everything under our belts before something happened.
You never want to have to be the guy to say, you're being laid off on this particular day, and I don't know when you're coming back.
we're basically all freelance. You know, we don't have a job in an industry that we say, okay, I can do this for the next 20 years. You know, we're on a show, and if the show gets canceled, we have to find a job. And if there's a hiatus, we have to find a job. And if there's a strike, we don't know where we're going to find a job. So you're coming into an industry where most of us work that way.
You can't do anything except sit and wait. And so for the 3 months, you don't have writers writing scripts. So everybody just goes home and you try to put together the episodes that you already shot.
So they were able to carry on until the end of November, which was great. And it kind of softened the blow a little bit. But the strike still went on for about 11 weeks after that.
The second the writer's strike ended, we were back in the office. We were filming within 5 days. A normal episode, you prep for at least 7 days, if not 8 days, and then you shoot in 8 days. We had a very aggressive schedule to try to shoot as many episodes as we could before the season ended, so we had to get up and running really quickly to make those air dates.
We never closed the writer's office. We just kept moving forward, and I think that this season we actually came out with some amazing episodes, sort of filled with new energy.
Pretty and amazing, yeah. God did okay by you too.
Rosanna was great. Rosanna was fantastic. I mean, she had a limited amount of time she could be on the show, and she made it work, and she came on the show, and it was great. I mean, she really did a wonderful job, and I think Patricia really enjoys having her family on the show.
I don't know how she does it, but she does it very well, as you all know. But he kind of gives you pages as you go, and you don't really know how the script is going to turn out. Sometimes pages of dialogue, and she does this. It's a hard job, guys. You have no idea.
When Glenn said we have this opportunity that Rosanna Arquette might be able to come and be on the show, we thought this would be the perfect episode for her.
You know, we've been trying to find something for Rosanna to come onto the show with for a while, and to play this character of a beautiful older woman who seduces younger men and kills them. She was just tickled by that.
Look at me. I don't even know how to use a knife or a nail gun.
The part was originally written for a man, and so we did do a lot of editing to make it just right for Rosanna.
It seems like, in a lot of ways, most episodes have this one thing, this one amazing, set piece, or some amazing thing that, again, the crew has to, meet this amazing challenge, which they always do. And for this one, it's dropping a car off of a parking structure.
Not yet. And that's one of those examples where when the story comes together and you're looking at the finished script product and you're saying, boy, I wonder if this is something we can do. And it's like, always find a way to create, something like this. So it's always exciting when you have one of those set pieces in your episode.
Mrs. Dubois? Alison. Megan Doyle. So nice to finally meet you.
Yeah, it's nice to finally meet you. Kelly Preston joined our show for season 4, and she's just been a delight and a great addition to our cast, even though she has little ulterior motives behind her. She comes in and we think she's going to be Joe's savior.
I'm saying that we're in business, partner. We have a prototype to build, a future to forge.
Megan Doyle is a venture capitalist working initially with a firm, but then she goes off separately and decides to go into business with Joe Dubois.
Well, Allison gets one look at this Megan woman, and she starts having these dreams that something's going on between Megan and Joe.
I'm really starting to resent this good mood of yours.
Hey, isn't it nice if somebody in this house is happy in their work? Besides, I like being able to pay our bills.
I've apologized for what I've done for trying to seduce him.
Thank you, Joe.
And thank you.
I'm sorry things didn't work out the way you hoped, but at least this way it's not a total loss.
I've said that we can't work together anymore, and he says, we need to dissolve the business, and then I relent and say that that we're going to, but there's a big twist in it for us, which was really fun. I've done my own stunts for sure. I've flown, I've done a lot of different things. I can't remember being squibbed. I think I've done it, but it was a long time ago. And they had told me that I should wear a wetsuit and protect myself, which I'm actually glad I did, because you definitely feel it. It was fun though. It was intense, but exciting, and lots of blood flying everywhere.
And cut.
Freeze.
Cutting.
Okay.
Kelly?
That was scary.
Cool. That really looked good. Yeah, that was great.
I tasted it.
Every year we've sort of been happily surprised that people want to watch it, and no matter if we get off the air, whether it's a strike or whether we get moved around the schedule, people stay with the show and want us to come back and see it. So it's very rewarding to come back for another year and tell more stories.